we now have Maxime Castres from Strapi talking all about how to get the best results using SEO in Strapi. SEO is a massive area of web design and development, especially if you're working on public-facing websites and marketing websites and e-commerce and so on. You want to be found, you want to be seen, you want to have the relevant keywords. Integrations with things like Open Graph just make it so much nicer when you share links. You've got like a nice dedicated image and some nice copy. So these are really, really important details of a CMS. So it's nice to see the maturity in Strapi growing, and this is going to be a really exciting talk. So over to you, Maxime. Take it away.
Thank you, Michael. And yeah, let's get started with this presentation. So it is going to be about Strapi SEO best practices. So hi, my name is Maxime Castres and I'm a growth hacker working at Strapi. In today's presentation, I'm going to show you how you can implement SEO best practices in any Strapi application. So when you create a Strapi project, you have this complete freedom and flexibility to create the structure of your content. For example, if you want to create an e-commerce website, you will have a product collection type that will contain any type of fields you want. So a name as a text, a description as a text, a price as a boolean or a float, etc., etc. I'm going to show you all the best practices to include in your collection type to really create a SEO-friendly website. So in short, the customization here and the flexibility of Strapi will definitely allow you to optimize your content structure and improve your website SEO. So I'm going to show you 4 concepts, 4 really, really easy and understandable concepts, really easy to do in any Strapi project for your website to be SEO friendly. So we will have the construction of URLs, the metadata to include for helping search engines to really understand what your page, what your website is about. Structured data, this is the same. And the content clustering, how you can do content clustering for improving the user experience on your website. Let's get started then. Okay, so the first one, and for each one of these concepts, I'm going to show you an example on an actual Strapi project that is actually running on my computer. So for the first one, a site's URL structure should definitely be as simple as possible. So on your right side, this is something that is not okay to do because if you want to list products on your website, you don't want to use the ID for creating their pages. So here, it is really hard for users and search engines to really understand what this page is about. However, if you use a slug, for example, as you can see on the left side, it is better for users, for us, and for the search engines to really understand what this page is about. So here, we can totally understand that it's about green laptop. So it is really simple to do in Strapi, but really important for your users and for the search engines to really understand what your page is about, what your website is about. So how to do that in Strapi. So I'm going to leave the presentation right now, and I will show you that there's a project that is actually running. I already created the administrator user, and I'm ready to create my content. So let's say I will create a blog. So nothing really complex here. I will create a simple blog, and for that I will need an article collection type. So I just create a new collection type that is article. Like that. And for now, we just want to have a title as a text. So we're selecting title, and it will just be a short text. So here we are creating a Strapi application, so it will be the backend of our website. And for the front end, let's say that we are using, I don't know, like React, Angular, or even a static site generator. We will give them a field to build the page. So for example, you will, if you are using Gatsby, we will give them a field that we will use to build the pages. You can use the ID, but as you saw before, this is not something we want to do because it is not SEO friendly. Instead of that, we are going to use what it is used on the internet, which is Slug, on the modern internet, which is Slug. So in order to generate Slug in Strapi, you can use the UID. So this UID field will be automatically generated depending on the field it is attached to. So here we only have the title field. So when you will be creating the title field, it will automatically generate the slug field. So we're going to call it slug. And that's it. We can just press finish and we are done for this first concept. You just press save, and then we'll be able to create our first article. And we are just going to call it StrapiConf. And as you can see, the slug has been automatically generated. So this is really simple to do, not really hard to understand, but this is something you need to think about when you create your new collection tab and you want it to be really SEO friendly for the front end of your website. So you can press save, and that's pretty much it. So what you can have on the front end, if I start to present again, for example, using Gatsby and GraphQL, you will be able to fetch your article using the slug here, as you can see, using the filters. So this is something you can totally have building your pages with Gatsby. Instead of having the ID, you will have a slug that will be more easier for users and search engines to understand. So that is the first thing. For the next concept, and before diving in the next concept, everything that you will see concerning the SEO or the fields we are going to create in our collection types, this is something we are doing on our own website. So Strapi.io is built using Strapi and Next.js, and this is practices that we do on our website. And by the way, our website is performing really well in SEO. So this is why I wanted to share to you all these best practices for you to really perform well as well in SEO. So metadata. Metadata are not visible to visitors. They help search engines determine what your page is about. So for example, if you search Strapi SEO on Google, the title you will have in the description will be the meta title and the meta description of the page. There is some rules to respect, some SEO rules to respect. For example, the title, it should not be greater than 60 characters because Google and other search engines only display 60 characters. So if you don't want some keywords in the search, in the title to be erased, you want to respect these rules. This is the same for the description, but a little bit higher, 155 characters for the description. And you want to be place some keywords of your business inside your titles and description. So this is not something you want to do in Strapi, but this is just an advice for you. So one keyword in the title and 2 or 3 inside the description. So for example, for us as Strapi, it will be great to include the keyword headless CMS, self-hosted, JavaScript, open source inside our titles and meta description. All right. So for example, if we write Strapi SEO inside Google, this is the meta title and this is the meta description. If we write Strapi FAQ, we will have the same. So the meta title and the description. And here we have some interesting thing. We actually have some question and answers, but we are going too fast. This is the third concept. We are going to see. So stay tuned. For the metadata, we are going to dive in our Strapi application. So we want to have some new fields in our article collection type to include metadata. And we want this field to be reusable from any other collection type. So for example, if I create a new product collection type, I want it to be able to use the same fields. So to do that, we are going to create a component. So in Strapi, a component is just a field that contains other fields inside it. So I'm going to call it SEO, and I'm going to call the category it will belongs to shared. This is how we call it internally for our website. Feel free to call it whatever you want. Also the name, it depends on you. And I will, I didn't create it. And for the icon, I will just pick this one. It doesn't really matter for this example. So I just want it to be a single component and I can start to add some fields inside this component. So I want the meta title. And one thing I advise you to do is to make these fields required. So every time you will create a new article, this field will be required, because if you don't include these fields, by default, you should have a default meta title and meta description for your whole website. But if you have this, it means that if you have multiple pages, they will all have the same meta titles and meta description. And this is not something that search engines will like. This is not SEO friendly. You need your pages to have all different meta titles and different meta descriptions. So you want to make them required. So every new pages, every new articles you are going to create, they will have they will have a meta description and meta title, and ideally it will need some different titles and description than other pages. So you make them required, and you can add another field. You will do the same for description. Required too. Add a new field, and then we are going to add a new component that will contain, for example, a media, an image, and an alt attribute that will be corresponding for this image. So, for example, here it doesn't make really sense for article collection type, but if you want to have a different, for example, if you share your article on social networks, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, it will automatically generate, a thumbnail. If you want this thumbnail to be different to the actual image of your article, so here we don't have any image for our article. We only have the name, but you will definitely have an image. It can be different, and to do that, we can create another component. So we can call it how we are going to create a meta image. I don't know. No, shared image, yeah, and we are going to include it in the shared category. Again, the icons, we don't really care, just an error for now. We configure the component. This is a single component, and inside of it, we just want a media. I'm going to call it media. Yep. Single media, yeah, and we just want to have an alt. So an alt attribute is a message that will be displayed if the image is not loading, and this is something that is really important for SEO. So if your image don't have an alt attribute, this is something that is quite bad for your SEO. So you can press finish for this component. So you see, we created an SEO component containing two fields and a component that is containing two fields. Then inside, we just want to have new fields. So we want, for example, to have the possibility to tell our page, okay, we want this page to be indexable by our search engines, to be crawled by our search engines. And to do that, we can create a Boolean field. We are going to call it prevent indexing. Again, this is actually a field that we do have on our website to prevent some pages to be indexed by search engines. And by default, we can not required, but we're going to put them by default to false. So by default, every pages you're going to create, they're going to be indexed. Then add a new field. And the last one will be keywords. So there is a meta tag in HTML that allows you to specify some keywords about the article you are going to create. For example, if we create an article about Strapi Conf, we can include keywords separated by commas, such as conference, Strapi, HALA, CMS, etc., etc. So it can be a short text, and you can make it required, and you can press finish, and then you can save. So that's it. This collection type is quite SEO friendly, which means that now for your article to really be a collection type for a blog, you need to have an image, a content as a rich text, the publication date as a date, etc. But we don't need to do that. I'm just showing you the SEO fields that are necessary for your website to be SEO friendly. So I'm just going to update then this article and prevent indexing. No, the keywords conference, right? Something like that. And in the SEO component, I can have like a Strapi Conf. Strapi Conf. I have no idea. Strapi Conf, the best conference of April. I don't know. And then the meta description can be nothing. I don't know. I hope you are having a good time watching. All right, something like that. I don't really know. And then we have the share image. So if you want to have a different image you want to share on social media instead of the actual image of the article, you can specify it with this component, but you can keep the same image. Here we are going to use this one, so the best CMS for SEO, for example. So again, all you're going to see here is from an article I wrote, which is Headless CMS and Strapi SEO best practices. So feel free to check this out on our blog if you want to have more details about it. Strapi, and then you finish, and the alt, Headless CMS for SEO. Okay, and then you can press save, and that's it. This is how you can include some SEO friendly fields for your website. So if I present again, this is something that you will probably have on the front end. So here, using React, you will have a component SEO that will fetch all these these fields. So the title, the meta title, meta description, the share image, the keywords, prevent indexing, etc. And you will generate all the meta tags depending on that. Here you can see that if the prevent indexing is on, you can use the meta name, both the meta tags that tell search engines to not index the pages, etc., etc. So that's it for the metadata, and now we can go on the structured data. So structured data is a standardized format for providing information about a page and classifying the page content. So, for example, I showed you an example of structured data by typing Strapi FAQ. So here you can see that there is a structured data for this page that allows us to show you some of the content. So if I click on the page, some of the content of the page as an FAQ. So here, this page is about just question and answer. So what is Strapi? And then you have the answer. And you can have this FAQ structure. Here, I have the link. So you have all types of structured data. And for example, you have the FAQ one. So it will allow Google to include some questions and answers directly in the results of your searches. So this is different from the people also ask sections, which are not provided by us. So the first one is our FAQ, which is normal. But then it's not only provided by us. This one is provided by us. So you can see all the questions and answer in our actual FAQ. This is quite nice to have, and you can also have the same for articles. So you will have some nice article on the search results. So like this, with an image. Oh, they're not showing an image. Yes, they do. So this kind of results in Google. So you can also have this. So if you want to do that in Strapi, it is pretty easy. You just need to go back to the content types builder, and let's say that you want to create the same, the FAQ one. So the FAQ will here just only be a single type, right? We are going to call it FAQ because this is only a page. And for this FAQ, so there is a lot of information to include, the title, etc. But we're just focusing on SEO here. We are going to include the structured data, and structured data, it will use this JSON format. All right. So if we go on our FAQ, for example, because I'm just going to copy paste the JSON example. So here, this is just a bunch of questions and answers. So what is the return policy? And then you will have the answer. It is in JSON, so sorry, nope. It is in JSON, so you will need to create a JSON field here, and we are going to call it structured, just like that. And you can make it required too, and you can just press finish. Now you press save, and if you go in this single type here, you can customize your JSON, and you want it to be structured data. Simple as that. So you can do that in the articles too. Like if you want to update the article, this is already something again we have on our website, on our Strapi application. So if you want to include microdata, for example, this is an article one. So if you want to include article microdata for this one, you can actually do that. But this is not the same information as our article, but this is just for showing you that you can do that if you want to include an SEO structure. Press finish. Yep, like that. Strapi conf. Then you will have the structured data, and it will contain like the headline of your article. So it will be StrapiConf, the description, the image, if you have any images, etc., the author, etc. So that's it for the structured data. So what you can have then on the front end is something like that. So here, this is an example of the structured data you can have, which here is a FAQ example. And then you can have, using React, a microdata component that will take this JSON and it will render the script tag in the head tags, HTML tags of your structured data. And so your with the metadata, the search engines will be able to really understand what your content is about. But here with structured data, it will be able to really show in a different ways what your data is about. So if it is FAQ, it will directly include the question and answers in the search results. If it is an article, it will definitely show you, it will automatically show you an article with the image, etc. So this is quite good to have for your website if you want to perform in SEO. So this is how you create it on Strapi. So again, the flexibility allows you to just create a field containing JSON, and you can create your own structured data for your entries. So, and the last thing we want is to look at is how to do content clustering. So a content cluster strategy, it uses topics modeling and internal linking to improve the user experience of your content and boost your search performance. So basically what it means, like if you go on our blog, this is again something we do have implemented on our website. If you click on any article, for example, this one is talking about the StrapiConf. Well, we do have a component on our website that mentions the fact that, hey, you might also be interested in this kind of articles, since it is talking about StrapiConf. You can see we have slugs for our URLs. You will be showed some other StrapiConf articles. So it will allow some users to really continue reading some articles on our blog because it is related content. So to do that, we're just going to dive in our application. Again, in the content types builder, we are going to create here a relation. So before the relation, we are going to include that in a component, again, to be reusable maybe. And we are going to call it related article. And we're going to create a new category. We're going to call it just article. Yeah, just like that. All right, it's a single component, and we can add the fields. So inside of the fields, we just want to have some text. So here we are going to call it introduction, intro, short text, and we just want to have a relation. So this is a particular relation because here we just want to have a relation saying that an article has many articles, just like that, and we can press finish, and then we can save actually. Okay, the server is restarting, and then we can dive in our article. So StrapiConf, still the same, and we can tell that, for example, we do have some related articles. The fact is here I don't have any other articles, so I will just need to create a new one. So I will call it StrapiConf version 2. I don't know. Then I will not include SEO. I will not try to include any. This is required, so sorry I didn't do that. Hopefully it would. Yep. So it's just for you to show that with some other articles it will work. So only the structured data is required, and the keywords. That's it. So if I don't click on the plus, all the fields will not be required. So now they will be required, I think. No, I didn't make them required. Yeah, my bad. So I don't need them. I thought they were required, so never mind. If I go on StrapiConf now, I will be able to say the same thing here. You might be also interested in. Then I can simply link to other articles. So for example, I will be able here to fetch all the articles that are created, that have been created, and I will just link to StrapiConf 3, StrapiConf version 2, etc., etc. And then I will be able to save. And what I will be able to have on the front end is something like we do have on our website. So I don't have some code example, I think. Yeah, sorry. But basically just, having a component, if you're using React, Vue.js, etc., a component that is fetching this information and display it at the end of your page to really incentive your users to continue reading on your blog, because you can have some related content they can be interested in. So I think that's pretty much it for this presentation concerning how you can really think about all the best fields, the best practices to include for SEO in your Strapi application. That's pretty much it. I think. Tell me if it was a good presentation. I had a good time telling you all these best practices for doing SEO. So again, this is really something we do implemented on our website, which is using Strapi. So hopefully you will perform well in SEO using these best practices if you're using Strapi. So thank you for watching this presentation. I hope you are having a good time watching all these talks, all these presentations. So I hope that it will help you to really perform well in SEO for your Strapi application, for your website. So thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye.
Thank you, Maxime, for that brilliant talk. You have saved the day. This was like a last minute preparation and you just delivered. So thank you so much, our hero.